Okay. All right, folks. Let's see here. I'm going to be doing lesson 5 today, and I have Google Sheets and Google Excel open at the same time. It's not going to be too much of a hard thing to do. First off, the things that we're talking about today for formatting, cell entries, it's going to start off with dates. We're going to be doing dates first and figuring out what those are about and how those work. And then we're going to do some things that allow you to fill in a series of numbers really quickly, which is very helpful because sometimes you got a lot of information and it's like the more you can get Excel to realize, hey, this is the same as the other stuff I just typed in. Please help me out. Then it's going to go faster for you and you can get your work done sooner, and then you can get back to playing Xbox. I mean, doing your other work and making money for the company. Right. All right. So open up your books if you need to, if you're watching this later on. Page 389 in the book is where we're going to be starting with E05. Try. Okay, so in the Google Classroom in the stream section, there is E05 try, along with E04 try and E06 try. You might want to get 6 out as well because we'll be proceeding to E06 here in mere moments. Okay, so for starters, let's present the screen. So I've got both documents. Both documents out right now. You can see here, everybody, that C3 is where we go to first. C3 is where we go to first. And that's right across from the thing that says report date. And what you want to do here is you want to put in a date, right? Because you're going to be at your work, you're going to be required to fill out forms and stuff like that. And your report date's basically going to be like, hey, when did you fill out this form? Because if it's yesterday's form that I'm looking at the printout of, then that's some pretty recent information, and that's great. If it's last month's report date, obviously that information is way out of date probably, and I need to know when it is that this report was taken. Okay, so real quick, hold down Control with your left pinky finger, and give me a semicolon, which is right next to the L key. Give me a semicolon, so Control semicolon, bada bing. Automatic date generation, press enter. Okay, now in Google Docs, the same exact thing happens. Control semicolon gets you that date inserted into there. Now let's go ahead and resize the cell if necessary to get the entire date shown. Resize those cells. How we doing, Jax? Dax, we're on E05 try right now. Open that up from the either the classroom stream, or if you downloaded it yesterday, you can reopen that file that you downloaded yesterday. E05 try. Okay, so Control and then semicolon will get you a date inserted. Now, the cool thing about this is, everybody take a look up here. Right now you see a format date. Okay, it is a date looking object, right? Okay, but here's the thing. What did I say Excel is good for? Plugging in numbers and getting answers, right? Excel is your math teacher. Whereas Word was your English teacher and knew all the rules, Excel is your math teacher and knows all the math rules. Okay, this is not a date. Who believes me? None of you guys believe me? This is not a date. You want to know how I can tell? Everybody go here. See where it says date? Click that drop-down menu and go to General. I told you. You didn't believe me, did you? This date is not a date. It is actually a number. This number, strangely enough, represents how many days it has been since January 1st at midnight of the year 1900. As in, like, not the year 2000, but like 100 years before that. Okay? Like before there was airplanes and computers, really, and stuff. Okay? Okay, so this was here as a date, okay? But I told you it's not a date, and you didn't believe me. So I said, well, go to general. Go to general and click on it and see what happens. Yeah, turn it into the format, general format. You can turn it into number format if you wanted to also. It's a number. That number represents literally the number of days it has been since January 1st at midnight of the year 1900. It has been 44,222 days since January 1st, the year 1900. Okay? And you may ask yourself, why would Excel need to have that date be a number instead of just showing the date? Well, let me ask you something. Can you add March 6th to April 12th? No, you cannot, right? Okay, you can't because that's not something that computes with your brain. Now, if I tell you what's 3 days after March 6th, you would probably say March 9th, right? Okay, Excel, if you say something crazy like equals March 6th plus 3, that's what happens. It has no idea what you're talking about. It's like, I don't even get it. What is this? Excel can't figure this out. You know what I mean? But if you generate a date in a cell and you put in these as dates, then it figures it out. See how that works? So Excel, a numbers program, needs to see those dates as numbers, and it can translate it into something that you, the human person, can understand. But it needs to officially see that as a number so that it can do math on it. Because it can't figure out March 6th plus 3 days. Okay? It can't. But if you give it a number value and say to add 3, and then retranslate it into that number format, it's like, oh yeah, I can totally do this. Okay? That is how, strangely enough, Excel sees a date figure. Okay? All right, so that is how you get a date into there. You do that control semicolon thing. It puts a date in. And then like I said, if you go to the date, you click on it, you click general, bada bing, it is a number. Now guess what? You know what's even more fun? It's about decimals. If I put in 0.5, what time is it? Huh? Exactly. Pedro is right. It's noon. 0.5 on a date number means halfway through the day, and therefore it means noon. Watch this. 12 p.m. Aha. What about if I put it in as 0.75? But 0.75. If 0.5 is noon, what is 0.75? 0.75 is 3/4 of the day, right? So what is half the day? 12, right? So, okay, you're thinking of like the roundy clock. Halfway through the day is 12. What is halfway through the morning? 6, right? So 0.25 is 6. So it's 12 midnight, 6 a.m., 12 noon. What's 0.75? 6 p.m. See? It's all math to Excel. Everything is mathematics. 6 p.m. 0.75 of a day type of a day number is 6 p.m. Okay, there's even a function. You can get like the date and time right now, by typing in now, open and close parentheses. So equals now, open close parentheses. That gives you the exact date and the correct time. So you notice it says 9:42, and right now we look down at our clock and it's 9:42. Okay, now once again, if I transform this into a general number, it's going to give me 44,222.40466. Okay, so 0.4 basically. So 0.4, which is like what? A little bit less than half, basically, right? So what is half? Noon is half. So 0.4, a little bit less than that. So yeah, around somewhere around 9 o'clock-ish. Yeah. All right. See how that works? Interesting. Yes. All right. So we're going to just go ahead and say general. We're going to get that number at 44,222. Okay. Now go back up to general again and change it to short date again. And it will turn it back into the date that you, human brain, can understand. Now, a series of numbers. Oh, and if you want to like look at this in Google Docs, basically formatting, you can change it to different kinds of numbers. Okay. So and it does the same thing. You can see in Google Docs it does the same thing. Yeah, Google Docs. Why for you no scroll like I want you to. Yeah, Google Docs does basically the same thing. It's just a change in the formatting. Okay, you can change it to numbers, you can change it to dates, times, blah, blah, blah. Format, number, changing the type of thing that it is. Okay? When you have a series of numbers in Excel, for example, Marcos, you play football, right? You play basketball. What do they have for every basketball team? They have a roster of guys, right? All right. Well, what if those numbers are basically like 1 and 2 and 3, right? Now, what if you're on a football team and those numbers go from like 1 to 900, I'm just kidding. They go from 1 to 99, right? Do you want to type in all those numbers? Heck no, you don't. So how about I do something where it's like I take a series of numbers and I just highlight them and I say, hey, why don't you just make a whole bunch of numbers for me? Look. See that? Yeah, a lot easier than doing it the hard way and typing in all those numbers yourself. Excel can even figure out a series. For example, watch this. 2, 4, 6. I'm doing even numbers, right? Highlight those numbers, get the fill handle, drag them down. 8, 10, 12, 14. Hot dog. Try it out yourself. We're just going to do this. It's not in the book, but it's something that you can do. Go to column A, go to number 6, and type in something that's got like a series to it. Like, for example, let's go 5, press enter, 10, press enter. All it takes is 2 things that seem to have an order to them. You highlight those 2 things. You like select those 2 cells. You use that little green fill handle, they call it, drag it down, and Excel figures out the series. You can even see that Excel is figuring out the series because there's a little square that tells you what the answer is going to be. See the little square? Every time you go to a different box, it tells you, yeah, this box is going to have this filled in. So as long as you have 2 numbers that are obviously in some kind of sequence, it can figure out what that sequence is, and it can copy it. Okay? Now, this works in multiple different ways. January, February. Highlight them, drag them. There you go. There's your months. Okay, didn't even have to do anything. Didn't have to type in all of them. If you've got some kind of thing that you can understand is supposed to be like a series of numbers or a series of dates or something like that, it can figure it out. 115, 116. Watch what happens. Fills in the date series. Is that a lot better than having to type out every single thing? Heck yeah, it is. All right, let's play around with this in the computer. So this is called a series. A series is a sequence of numbers such as 1, 2, 3, dates such as 1021, 1022, 1023, times such as 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock, or text such as January, February, March. The feature or process for creating a series in Excel is called autofill. Okay, to enter a series based on an active cell, drag the fill handle, a small square in the lower right corner, the mouse pointer turns into a black plus sign, and then you can pull and drag. Now, be very careful. If you do something like, now it thinks it's a date. How about you just be a number? Okay. If I type in 1 and I copy it, if I only do one thing and I copy it, it's just going to copy that same thing. Okay. You need 2 things in a series to figure out that it's a series. Okay. And also, it kind of doesn't work for letters. See, if I got A, B here, you would think it would go C, right? No, it's just going to repeatedly copy A, B over and over again. Okay? So it doesn't really work that well for letters either. Okay. Wait, do that one over. All right. Now, sometimes whenever you're filling in series, you may get a little screen tip that helps you out saying, hey, you want to copy this series down or you just want to copy the formatting? Some things like that happen occasionally. Let's go to cell B6 underneath the word shipment. B6, type in /2. Press enter. Now type in /9. Obviously, Excel is figuring out that these are dates and that they are dates once per week. Okay? 2 April and 9 April is exactly 1 week apart because they're 7 days apart. Okay? Highlight B6 and B7 at the same time. Highlight both of them. Okay? Drag it down until you get 30 April. Look on your little side box there. And you see your little side box says 30 April? That should be 3 more boxes down. Okay, good. Now, filled out our little dates for us. Each week's shipment, there we go. Didn't even have to do that much work. Go to cell C6. Type in 1. Press Control Enter to stay in the same place. Now, drag this over to G6. Okay, you got 1s across the top. Okay. Now, notice that the 1 just repeats. It doesn't really copy anything because it's not a series. You don't have a series unless you have at least 2 things to do. All right, type in 2. Press Enter on cell C7. Okay, so go to C7 and press 2. Now, highlight C6 and C7. Drag it down until it says 5. Highlight C6 and C7. Get the little green dot. Drag it down until it says 5. See, it filled out the series. Okay. Now, do this. While you've got all of these highlighted, grab the fill handle again and pull to the right. Now it fills the rows and copies them now. But mostly what it's doing is just copying these numbers right here and just copying them over and over again. Okay? All right. Now, there is something called flash fill. Let's go over here to I6 underneath the shipped by. Oh, let's do this real quick for the Google Sheets. 4.2, oops, 4.9, highlight, copy, basically the same. 1, copy across, not a problem. 2, highlight both, drag down, goes to 5, highlight across, Copies the column. Same as it was. Same as it ever was. All right, I6. I6 is something called flash fill. Flash fill is kind of like it's going to see something, and then it's going to figure out that, hey, wait, you're taking parts of this other cell, and you're filling in with this stuff. I think I know what you're doing here. It's a very complicated thing that Excel is trying to do right here. So we're going to go to I6 and type in the information that we see on page 391. Michael W. period space pen. Okay. Rosie L. Patton. Okay. Jameson P. Falcon. That's a name. John D. Stalwart. Okay, and Mia A. Dawson. Okay. I'm going to scooch this over a little bit. Okay, so you got 5 names in here with a middle initial on each one. Now I'm going to go to the J column, and I'm going to type in pen, comma, Michael W. period. Now I'm going to press enter. So what did I type in? The same exact thing that was in I6, except last name, comma, first name, comma, or first name, middle initial. Okay, it's the same thing, but in a different order. Now watch what happens whenever I go to start typing in the second one. R-O-N. All right, you made a liar out of me. Way to go. That's unfortunate. Okay, so what should happen here? Oh. So what should be happening is flash fill, where it figures out what you've done with the series. I put a space. Yep, I put a space. All right, try this again. Ha! That's what happened. If you don't do it right the first time, it screws up. See, I typed in the RO, it didn't know what I was doing, and therefore it gave up on the flash fill. Okay? Notice how when I type in the right thing, which is the last name, as Brianna so eloquently pointed out, as did Pedro, good job noticing my error. Once you type in the correct thing, it's going to be in the same pattern for the next one. Excel's like, ooh, 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 I know what's going on here. So go ahead and press enter. Ta-da! It fills in all of the rest of it. All right, with the method that you are using in the second column. Okay? Now, there is, if you look right here, there's a little button for flash fill options. Okay? You can ask it and say, hey, I didn't really want to do that. Undo flash fill. Okay? And it gets rid of the thing, and then you can, I mean, if you really wanted to, you can type it up again. Press undo. Okay, and do it again. Go back to J6. Now just type in Michael. Okay, press enter. Now type in Rosie. Oh, look at that. It's figuring out that it's just your first names that you want. Oh. Press enter. Fills out the rest of them. Okay, now go to K6. Type in W period. Okay, press. I guess you could press enter, but really you're going to L6. So press tab. Okay, type in pen. Press enter. Now, if you really want to do it, L period, tab over, and say PA. Ah, no, it didn't do it again. Okay, needless to say, this is a little bit tricky. We're going to try this one more time. W period, say pen. I'm going to press enter. No, don't do it that way. Okay, W period, press enter. Over to L6, type in pen, press enter, go straight down, type in patent. Oh, look. Doing it for all those. Yay. Okay. Now you can click this drop down thing again, and you can say accept suggestions. And it lets you do it. Now, what it should also do is it should also have done the middle initials, but it didn't do it. So what can I say? Flash fill is a real hit and miss kind of thing. I know of it, but it's also kind of squirrely. So, you know, use it with caution. Okay? Now, another thing you can do is you can clear out this stuff. You can just use clear all, and poof, all of it goes away. Okay? Now, as you know, more than likely, if you've got information in these cells, highlight this cell area here. You can do left, right, and center alignment. Okay? You all know left, right, and center. But each one of these cells can have its own individual alignment. Okay? So you can have left, center, and right alignments with any of the cells that you feel like. Let's say, for example, we want to have all of these cells aligned to the right because that's where the numbers are. But look, our words do not line up correctly. So click on a right alignment, and they all now line up like they should on their numbers. Okay? Now we already know how to do merge and center. That's fine. We don't need to do that again. Okay? One of the things that's really fun, watch this. Go ahead and highlight C5 to G5. C5 to G5. Do you see this thing here that says wrap text? Click on wrap text. Wrap text means that if there's too much information to be able to be handled in the cell at the size that it is, it just takes the words that don't fit and moves them down to a new row. Okay? Okay, same here with Google Sheets. You go to Format, you say Text Wrapping, you say Wrap, and it does the same thing. Now, occasionally a word like that is just a single word will be too big, so it will take whatever letters are left over and put them down to the next line. So you have package, shipment. So occasionally you will still have to change the size of said lines to make them actually be the size that they need to be. Occasionally that still is required to happen. Okay. Oh, hey, really fun thing. Watch this. Underneath the wrap text is a thing right next to it. See this little AB with an upscaling little arrow here? If you do the drop-down menu of that, you can angle the words. For example, the first one is angle counterclockwise. If you take off the wrap text, click on wrap text again and it takes off the wrap text, you can see now that you can angle the words above it. Ooh, fancy. That way it's easier to read them sometimes, and it takes up a little bit less space doing it. Okay, sometimes a little bit. Okay, wrap text is also a thing that's useful. Column width and column height. You, of course, know that you can change column widths and column heights by manually moving them. And you know that when you grab it, you can also see that little white box that says width of a certain width. And it also, in parentheses, has the pixel width. Okay? The width of a certain width is actually the points. It's like how many letters can it fit? Okay? You can also change that by going to Format and saying column width. Okay, so on the Home tab, the Format right next to the Insert and Delete, you can do Format. You can say column width. It'll give you a box. You can tell it exactly how big you want it to be. So like say 15, and then it will manually adjust to 15. So this is then the case. You can see, I've seen this sometimes where it's like you try and manually adjust it, and it's like you move it over one tick, and it's like 15.02. So it's like you manually adjust it down a little bit trying to get 15, and it's like 14.98. And you're like, so if you really want it to be a certain size, manually go to Format, column width, and then change it to the size that you need it to be. Same thing for row height. You can change it with row height. You can type in exactly what you need and it'll fit. Okay. Keyboard shortcuts. Lots of things that the keyboard shortcuts that they're talking about here. Pressing Alt. Watch this. You press the Alt key, you get these little letters. Look up here in the green area. First off, it asks you which tab do you want to use. So let's say I want to go to the Page Layout tab. I will type in P. So I press the Alt key, and then I press P. And then it takes me to the Page Layout tab. And then it's like, what do I want? I want to talk about the height, the row height. And so I'll say H for row height. And it'll take me into this. And then I can use my up and down arrow keys to look at which thing that I want to make it a height, blah, 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 whatever. Okay? And then I press enter. So if you find yourself without a mouse, and your laptop is broken and you don't have the little mouse pad that you can use with your finger, you can use the Alt button to go to tabs. And then by selecting a tab, you can go to individual things in the tab. Okay? And then you can use your keyboard to maneuver around there. Okay, so that's lesson 5. Lesson 6 is just about selecting ranges. Basically, if you highlight an area, that is a range. Okay, if you basically like you can like if you need to do a sum of something, like you want to sum up these numbers, if you say auto sum, this thing right here in between the parentheses, this is the range of cells that you want to have that happen to. Okay. If you want to, you can highlight a cell range. Like for example, I hit here and I say K, okay, or a number or something like that. Usually it'll fill in the entire group with that stuff. Okay, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's always hit and miss. But that's basically it, everybody. See y'all later. Have a good day, and off to third period with you. Don't worry about cleanup. I'll handle it. Go, go, go. Take it easy. See you later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.